Hey everybody, what is up? It's Devin, LaVore, and
Michelle LaVore
coming at you for like the 10th time. And we just want to welcome you guys to our channel. What we do here is we just kind of share our journey with our relationship with God, kind of like the banner of our YouTube channel says, our journey with Jesus. And this is kind of what we do, and we hear from the Lord, and we share our journey, and we always just pray that it would bless you guys, you know, because God's called us to be in this position. As weird and unorthodox as it might seem, it's really a blessing to us to be able to bless you guys in this way, and God can reach people through this way all over the world. It's amazing. Yeah. It's truly amazing. So we really hope that you're going to get something out of today's message. It's really super awesome. But also, we are a support-based channel, and the situation that we're in right now, we raise support. That's what we do. You know, kind of like the Israelites in the wilderness. You know, we're like manna every day. And so we're in a position right now where we're just in a new week, and we're heading into the weekend, and we're going to need money for next week. And so we're just asking if you guys feel led to support us. That would be super great, because we are definitely in need of it, like right now. And so, yeah, so if there's a PayPal link below, you can click the PayPal link, and we would greatly appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah? Can't believe we made that one. We did it.
Yeah.
And so, did you want to go first, or did you? Let's just start with Monday.
Yes.
Woo! I think you should go.
All right.
You should tell that story, girl, because that's a birthing story. You know, the birthing stories belong to you. So you birthed 4 children. So you can go ahead and talk about this one. The birth of a family.
Yeah. So that's really what just like kind of a lot of what this week and last week was really about. You know, last week we actually made a video right at the beginning of the week talking about how it was just the picture of giving birth, and God really showed us that. And I feel like last week it was like, okay, you know, you're giving birth, but the baby gets stuck. It's like their shoulders. It's a very delicate kind of process, and you know, you don't want anything to get broken, and you want to be born without defect, and so we kind of just kept going throughout the week. And then Monday came, and to set it up, Sunday night we were seeing a ton of 444s, and for us 444s have always been about it's the Lord bringing victory, but the victory is going to come through God exposing our hearts, exposing things that are going on inside, so He can bring them out, so we can have victory. Yeah. And so
don't hide from the thing that I'm trying to reveal, because it's ugly and you don't like it about yourself. Let's look at it and let's get it out of there, so you can be free from it. Yeah. And there's such glorious moments. Yay, let's go to the dentist. Yeah. Let's go to the doctor and get those stitches. Yay.
Yeah. No, it's usually, there can be a lot of pain involved with it. And so Sunday night, we saw so many 444s. I mean, it was crazy.
It was raining.
It was just, like everywhere we looked. I mean, even
within like an hour. Yeah. It was crazy.
And so we're like,
oh, Lord.
We're like, whew, all right, Lord, we know what this usually means.
What does this mean, man?
And so it was just like, okay, well, brace for impact.
We're just going to believe that it's for something else. Yeah, that didn't work.
No, but I think there was 2 things the Lord was really saying there. He really is saying, because we were like, well, maybe He's talking about like the open doors. 4s can be about open doors and things like that. And I really felt like God was saying, like, yes, look for the manifestation of like an open door of the things that I'm doing. But He was also very much talking about the victory. So Monday came, and it was just so intense.
Wait. I do have a small part here.
Yes.
Monday came, and I felt there was just a strange sense that I felt like I came, I sat at the desk that's right behind the camera there. You can't see it? I'm sorry. I sat at the desk, and I felt like a judge that came and sat down And I had this long docket of things to go on, because at that point we had already started to deal with some like exposure issues and attitude and all that comes from it.
Yeah.
You know, we were starting to deal with that already, and I sat down and I just felt like the Lord was showing me this long docket of cases. And I felt like the Lord was like, this is the way it's going to be all day. And I was like, that can't be the Lord. There's no way. I mean, you deal with stuff and then you just kind of move on, right? You can't all day. I was just like, no, I don't know. But I couldn't escape it. It's one of those things where he just grabs you by it's going to be like this all day, bruh.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, man. And sure enough.
Yeah. So we started.
I was like, I do not want this.
Yeah.
But
So it was just like all day. All of us went through it. I think for myself, I think half those 444s were for myself, because the Lord literally, I mean, I'm not kidding, like pretty much every single like major thing that the Lord has been working on this whole time.
Every trigger
was pressed, but the Lord it was like he'd bring something up and it's like, okay, how are you going to deal with this? What are you going to do? How is, and it was like, I would have like these moments where I'm like, oh, okay, we made it past that one. And then all of a sudden, oh, there's another one. Here you go. And it was just like, oh my gosh.
It was like a marathon of hurdles.
It really was.
It was just like, oh my God, dude.
And so it was just, it really felt at the end of the day, both of us, and we're talking end of the day, like at midnight, after midnight, because.
After midnight. And it was still going on.
And it was still going on. But we were talking, it was like, wow, we are like exhausted. And it was so very much like, when you give birth, it's just, it goes until it's done.
You've been in that labor process all day.
All day.
You can't just say, hey, can we take a break?
Yeah.
You can't do that. It's coming.
Yeah.
You better deal with it. You know?
It's like, sure, you might have some moments where it's like you're not contracting, but you're going to be contracting again in like 5 minutes. And then 3 minutes, and and it's just like, it was like, oh my gosh, like this is.
It was unavoidable.
So intense.
Intense, yeah.
But we really felt like God was like, yeah, I'm birthing your family. Your family has been birthed.
Later on.
Yeah, later on.
Later on,
the
we realized we're like, oh, that's what couldn't you have told us that at the beginning? Nope. Wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, and so it was just, but it was all day. It was just this like,
I'm gonna turn on these lights.
Deep humbling that the Lord was doing, and it was just like, wow, like this is just, it was just so intense. And so we get to the end of the day, and it was just like, oh, that's what you've been doing, Lord. You really have been like birthing us as a family and going through a lot of the issues. But in it, though, it was also, we were seeing there was victory. There was overcoming. Even
of
when
all those issues.
Even when it didn't necessarily feel like it or come out the way that you wanted it to come out, that sort of thing. It was like, overall, there was just great victory that the Lord was doing. And so that was really our Monday. And
it was all day, y'all. I'm serious, all day. Usually,
so
you
intense.
might have a fight with your spouse, and it's like, it's not like we do argue from time to time, but it's like you deal with that issue in a healthy way. Even in a healthy way, there can be, the healthy way is, okay, listen, you're gonna have some emotions, and you're gonna be thinking some stuff and feeling some stuff, and you're gonna be saying some stuff and all that. But ultimately, we'll just get rid of all that mess and say, okay, what's really being said, and then you take my heart and I take yours, and we meet in the middle, and all the other stuff goes to the side. But it can still be messy.
Yeah.
Just like when you give birth.
Yeah.
All that junk comes out, but it's the baby that this is awesome, So it's like relationship, and it's like, but that can still be very intense.
Yeah.
And then so imagine that happening over and over and over and over and over again with every member of our family, and we're just like, what's going on? Because there was the crowning vision, and then there was the heads out vision, but it's stuck, and it's like we've been stuck at that stuck point for a while, and I had even forgotten about it for a little bit. I'm just like, well, what happened there? I was like, maybe that's another one of those visions where it gets stuck at a point, it'll be fulfilled later or something like that. Nope, that was Monday.
Yeah.
Monday was like, oh, the whole thing, we all came out.
Yeah.
There was a birthing there,
Yeah. And that was actually And that was really something like, like you were saying, we've experienced many times when we see the triple fours, there's something that the Lord is bringing up, and you work through it. And sometimes even those, it would be a long, like half a day, a whole day. But there came a point where it was just one issue. And the Lord was like, I'm really working on this. But Monday, literally, we've never been in a day like we went through
ever
on Monday.
It has never, ever happened like that.
Yeah.
So then what does that mean for our family to have been birthed? What exactly does that mean? Because it can be, sometimes we can explain stuff, we can be excited about what's going on, but then, you can get lost in the metaphors, Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is, like, it's God saying, listen, physically you may not be in a different place, but spiritually and in your soul, you are in a different place now. Mm-hmm. These issues have been exposed and they have been conquered, and you have victory over these issues. And it's like you can begin living in a new way. Mm-hmm. You can begin thinking in a new way, because the old way was you always think this, or you always feel this when this happens, or when this happens, or when that happens, or when this happens, right? But it's like now you can get rid of that and adopt God's way of doing things, and you can really, really walk in it. And we've been able to see the fruit of it since yesterday and even today. Mm-hmm. Now, does that mean that, oh great, we're done with exposure and heart issues and dealing with stuff? Well, of course not. But it's like, it's just different. Mm-hmm. It's just different. And God's like, listen, I've been keeping you guys updated on what I'm doing in the spirit and in the heart of your family. This is where you're at. I've been updating you with visions and all that stuff, dreams, prophetic numbers, all that, so that you will know where you're at and what I'm doing, because you may not be able to discern it with your physical eye. You won't. And so you just have to hear from the spirit, kind of like that vision, that little spirit, soul, body paper we did. Mm-hmm. The other, you've got to hear in the spirit, what is God saying? That's what the visions are saying. That's what the dreams, and that's what the highlighted scriptures in the Bible that keep highlighting to you, and all that is just telling you where you're at. And that sense oftentimes that we get in the spirit, that impression that we get from the spirit, it's like, that's what God is saying. All right, so we've been born. I was like, oh, okay, that's great. Like, what does that mean? And then so as a result of that, you felt like really that God was kind of highlighting this 7-year cycle.
Yeah.
That he's been taking us through,
And actually that came up last night. We were just kind of talking and sharing, and then the Lord just was really showing me and reminding me about, like, when Moses and when Aaron and all the priests, they were first going to
consecrate the priests.
They were to consecrate the priests, and that it was a 7-day process. And then on the 8th day, the glory of God came down upon the tent of meeting. This was when they were in the wilderness at that point. And I really felt like God showed me last night. He was like, yeah, instead of 7 days, I've been taking 7 years to basically. And
that's been a thing lately, hasn't it? God's like, hey, 7 years. 7 years. And we're like, what's going on? Yeah. And now we're getting more revelation about it.
And he just really showed me just how he truly has been with the family, and just how he's moved in our life over this last 7 years. It's such a clear picture to me of just like, wow, Lord, you really have been doing that very thing. You've been setting us apart. You've been making us clean. You've been purifying us so that you can then bring your presence, yourself down, and that we can experience you in a way that we would have never been able to experience unless we went through that process. And so it's been a 7-year process. We're at the end of that 7 years. And so we were just talking about that, and how, like, it's really been a lot of years of preparation, a lot of years of God really working on issues of the heart and bringing things out and exposing things, and then really just, especially these last 3 years, has just intensified greatly. of
and
just
those issues can't be there if God's like, I want to walk with you in the garden. I want to walk in just such deep intimacy with you. Those things can't be there, and you can't hang on to those and maintain them and say, nope, this is what I think, this is what I feel, and then have us walk in that intimate relationship for which I created you.
Yeah.
It can't happen.
Yeah, and a lot of it, it's all been patterns of thinking, ways of seeing God, and just all the things that it's like, oh, this is, past ties, and he's not, it hasn't been things, I mean, they're not like sin issues, it's not like, oh, you're going against, what I've said in the scripture.
Yeah, that's a totally different
thing. That's a totally different thing, but this has been, it's all been just like, hey, let me change your way of thinking and seeing me in this, because it's hindering our relationship. This is, you grew up with this, but it's not who I am, so let's get rid of it. It's taking out all the foxes that could spoil the vineyard.
Yes.
And because it's like the Lord's,
and closing all the gates that the foxes have made to weasel their way in.
Exactly.
Weasel, anyway.
In any area that the Lord, that the enemy can come in, the Lord's like, let's close that off so it's not there. And so then when it has prepared us to then receive his presence, because when the presence of the Lord comes down, it's gonna cast out the darkness, and and it's like we want to be able to respond like Moses did. When the Lord came down, he went into the deep, into the darkness, whereas all the other people trembled and feared and basically said, please, like, you go, we need to get away from the Lord. And God's like, I want to come and tabernacle with my people. I want to be dwelling with them in a new way, in a way where they experience my presence firsthand. But it can't do that unless our hearts are prepared to receive him. And I feel like that's just, God's like, that is what I have been doing this whole time. And it was really cool too, because the Lord, with one of our sons, when he was born, it was that beginning, it was the beginning of that time frame. And God had spoken over his life that he would be a symbol of the blessing, the favor of God that is with us. And it was just like, I was just really hit with that yesterday.
And I'm like, wow. Why are you saying this?
Yeah.
What's getting ready to not happen?
Yeah.
And what's getting ready to happen?
But it's like the Lord's like, no, I really am with you, and here's a sign and a symbol saying, I am with you. And it was from that time period on that the Lord has been doing everything that he's been doing. And
he was the most chilled out baby ever.
Yeah.
It was almost like, are you alive?
Yeah.
Are you alive? It's like, yeah, I'm alive. I'm just relaxing, Dad.
I'm good.
I'm good. Don't worry about me. I'm good. Just a symbol of peace.
Yeah.
Which has been spoken over him many times.
Yeah. And so it was really awesome to just kind of look back and be like, oh, yes, like you have been with us. He is a representation of what you started in our life during that time period. And we could just go through all these years. And so last night it was just really awesome to see that. And then our youngest, he's been like a sign of the promise to come. And it was just like the promise has been with us this whole time. The Lord has always talked about like hold fast, and it's like he's been with us, and we've, it's like just the idea of like hold on to the promise. Keep the promise with you. Don't. And
trust me, the promise likes to be held.
Okay. So I just feel like there are other people and that are part of, I feel like, a remnant that the Lord has been working on. And he has, when there's a group of people that he has said, you are set apart for me. And he has been working and moving in the lives of those people. Go ahead.
Well, and those people are probably going, why is my life so abnormal right now? Why is my life so weird? Why are things like, this is not right. This is not normal. This is not, you know, and in the way God's moving in your life, it's assaulting your cultural upbringing, it's assaulting your denominational upbringing, it's assaulting just everything.
Yeah.
And it's just upsetting everything. You know, all these 444 moments, all these like exposure moments, and it's just like, what are you doing? Like, why, Lord? You're supposed to do things like this. Oh, really? Here, let me do this. And it's like, no, that's not right. That's like, you know, and it's like, you know, because we get comments all the time. I'm just like, man, you guys, you're the exact physical walk of your life may not reflect mine, but how God's moving and the weird things he just did, and how it just so mirrors my life, you know. And I just think that is the evidence that God is really doing something. Because after you've laid down as low as you can go and you're like, God, whatever you want, I don't care what's going on in this soul realm, your will be done. And then he does his will and it moves you in a weird way. You're just like, okay, you know. It's just like, you got to do it. And then as we continue to move with the Lord through this, we see, oh, I'm preparing you, O remnant, for the new era and the new thing and the new. And it's funny because we made a video a while ago called The Ancient Way, and it's like God's like, I'm preparing you for the new way, which is actually the ancient way.
Yeah.
Which is really, let's go back to the garden, back to just, it's about relationship. It's about the gospel. It's about being led by the Spirit. It's about just getting back to our Creator and who is now calling himself our Father, and we're his children. That is what it's about. That decades and centuries of religion and church structure has just destroyed. That's why they're called the ancient ruins. And you will rebuild the ancient ruins that have been laid waste for generations. That means there was a way that the Lord established, but then it got ruined because the enemy came in and this got messed up and this got messed up. And what did the enemy do? He came in and he set up all those messed up things in your heart and in your thinking and the culture that now God is exposing and getting out of there and getting away. It's like, no, but I have been taught that that's the way it is and that's the right way. And God himself is appearing to you, remnant church, and saying, no, that's actually not the way it's done.
Yeah. The
way it's done, has it brought you life? Has it brought you intimacy with me? Has it brought you see what I'm saying? And God begins to do all these things, and we go, it can be weird because we don't know any other way.
Yeah.
And God's like, that's what I've been doing for the past 7 years.
Yeah.
Because when we left, it was in January 2013. That's when we knew we're going to Kansas City. We're going to go to International House of Prayer. And it was like that year was the beginning of a way new thing. And God had been prepping us for that transition before that, right?
Yeah.
I was like, that would be awesome. God's never going to do that. And sure enough, he did. And it was the beginning of something so very new in our life. You know, so very new. I think that's just the beginning of that 3-book series thing that he was doing in our lives. And it was just really, really different. And we left on a word, you know, the door is open. Remember that? The door is open. And it was like, believe, be confident, and pursue. And it was like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
7 years later, almost, and we're still believing and being confident and pursuing. But now, the more you walk with the Lord, the more you understand. The more you get to understand why he's doing what he's doing, when he's doing it, why he's doing it, and all that. You know. Yeah. So we wanted to read some scriptures to you to kind of encourage you about why God's been doing things the way he's been doing it. If you're one of those people where you look at your life and you go, why is my life like this? God, what are you doing? I'm clearly hearing from you. You're clearly leading my life. Things are not going the way I thought that they were supposed to go, but you're clearly involved. Like, what is going on? What are you doing? If that applies to you, listen up. Let's see. This comes from Deuteronomy chapter 8. I just want to say really quick, I was debating whether I would say this, because I don't want it to seem like I'm trying to defend ourselves or defend our support raising or whatnot, but for half of the 7 years, a little more than half of the 7 years, we were working. God had us in jobs and all that, But then he told us, he literally brought us out, I mean, as clear as a burning bush, okay? And then the continuance of his Spirit and the manifestation of people supporting us, for this last half, we have not worked at all. So you see what God's doing there? There is a measure of God going, I am the God of the hills and the valleys. I am the God of abundance, and I'm your Father when you're barely making it. You know what I mean? It's like, I am God. You got to trust me. You know, I'm looking at our financial situation. I'm like, God, it has not been this bad since August. Like, what's going on? Why are you doing this? And it's like, now let's take it back for a second. Okay, before we get into the scripture, our family's been birthed, right? Well, in Revelation chapter 12, there is the birth of the child. You know, there's the great sign, and then the dragon comes, and there's the birth of the child, and then the dragon opens his mouth and spews water, not fire, water, to try and catch away the child. But it's like the woman who gave birth, was given eagle's wings, not stork wings, thank you, but anyway. Eagle's wings to a place prepared for her where she will stay. How long? 3.5 years. God works in these 3.5, 7-year type cycles, you know, and it's like, it's really crazy. There's so much we could say about that, right?
Yeah.
That God has shared with us. But the bottom line is, like, there was a place prepared for her, but it's like the enemy, as our family's been birthed on the 18th, the enemy is still coming in trying to bolster up those issues. He's like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to test you. I'm going to spew on you. And it's not nearly as intense. See, you want to know the truth? I think when God is at work, it's way more intense than the enemy trying to attack you. The enemy is just definitely trying to attack us today on so many of those issues that we've gotten victory over, right? But it's like, there's definitely been an intensity and a drainingness to it, like feeling drained. That's what I meant. Draininess is not a word, but whatever. But right, it's been like man, this is like another one of those constant things. But it's more of like, I feel like an attack from the enemy, from he's opened his mouth to try to swallow up our family, and the whole purpose is to push us back into those mindsets and back, you know, get back in your cage, you know, type of thing.
Well, and I think too, just like, you know, the whole promise of the Lord was that the waters of adversity will not touch you. And so if the dragon is spewing the water, it's like,
waters of adversity.
Hey, these adversities, they are going to touch you. But I think what's also awesome is that even though the dragon was spewing out all this water, it says that the ground, the earth opened up. And basically took that away. Yeah. And so it's
what
like,
the enemy meant for evil, God turned for our good. Yeah. You know?
And so that's just kind of, again, a picture of like, the Lord's like, I'm here to protect you. I've told you, he's like, he has made a promise to us of just like, these waters of adversity will not touch you. And so it's like, all right, Lord, well, we're going to keep believing you. We're going to keep going in the direction and believing that you have great things for us. And we're believing that, you know, you're going to come with your eagle's wings and you're going to carry us to the place that you have prepared for us.
Literally gave my daughter a vision about that. What was it, in February of 2018? It's like, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And we read about it this morning. I'm like, I just knew. I was like, this is the enemy. He's just trying to spew at us. He's screaming his head off. Look at your life. Look at your life. See, you're not over these issues. See, you haven't had change. See, nothing's different. Look, it's even getting worse. Look, see, told you. Would someone please look at me and believe me? Like, no, I'm not going to. What? No. Just plain no. Checkmate. No. You know what I mean? And it's like, the whole goal of the enemy is to get your eyes off of something. He wants you to focus on this. So it's like, okay, well, what do you not want me to see? Oh, that's right. Oh, I remember all these things that the Lord's been sharing with us. Oh, that's right. There's victory, and there's going to be deliverance, and there's going to be a release, and there's going to be a departing, and there's all these different things that the Lord is saying. And it's like, oh, you're cleansing us and all that. And it's like, so it's like, So it doesn't matter where you find yourself in it. And that's why it's important not to judge what God is doing in a person's life. Mm-hmm. Man, I'm telling you, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Just, if God is working, listen, if God hasn't put it on your heart, a prophetic word, like a really word of wisdom or something to speak into someone's life, don't be getting on Facebook and YouTube and all that and criticizing what what they're doing or how they're doing whatever. Don't do it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's just I'm just gonna hit the pause on that one, because that could be a whole nother video, right? Because I get amped up about certain things, and anyway. But anyway, I felt like the Lord gave me this to in addition to what you were sharing about the 7 years, mm-hmm. So just replace the word, anytime you hear the word 40 years, just replace it with 7, okay? This comes from Deuteronomy chapter 8. This is just before they're getting ready to cross over. And of course, he's talking to the generation that was raised up in the rejected years. Yeah. The generation that was rejected and they couldn't go in. And talk about a messed up mindset. They were like, oh no, Moses, you speak to him, lest if he keeps speaking to us, we're going to die. It's like, what? Why are you thinking that? It's like, that's wrong. But see, they wouldn't allow the Lord to get close enough to them to remove that idea. It didn't even make logical sense if they really just thought about it for a second. And so that's kind of the things that God's been working on the past 7 years, to take out these things. Like, oh, God's going to speak to you and you're going to die. Yeah, that's why he showed up to. He could have just, Thanos snap, you done. Mm-hmm. You don't need to bring you. I'm going to do all these great deliverances to bring you out, and then I'm going to kill you. That doesn't even make sense. Yeah. But look at how strong, the stronghold in the mind. I've got a stronghold on your mind, this thing that I think, and I'm not letting it go because I know it's true. No, it's not.
Yeah. And
you got to let the Lord do what he's going to do. So, chapter 8 of Deuteronomy, verse 2, the whole chapter is amazing, by the way. But starting in verse 2, and you shall earnestly remember all the way which the Lord your God led you these 40 years in the wilderness, 7, to humble you. Mm-hmm. That's it right there.
Yep.
To humble you and to prove you, to know what was in your mind and heart, whether you would keep his commandments or not. Mm-hmm. Stuff like that. It takes me back to the corporation situation we had in 2018. Mm-hmm. It's just like there were people that criticized us for not taking the offer. But it was like the Lord took us through it, and he was like, well, I never wanted you to take that. Yeah. I just wanted to take you through. It's remembering all the way which the Lord your God led you. Mm-hmm. It's like he led us through that situation, and he was like, all right, I did what I needed to do. Now I'm going to lead you out. And it's like, but Lord, are you sure? Yeah. And after a while, it's like, oh yeah, you're definitely sure. Like, yeah, we need to get out of there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like the Lord does that. It's like to test and prove and to see what's in your heart and your mind. What? To see whether you would keep his commandments or not. Meaning, will you yield to my spirit no matter what?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And only a humble heart will do that. Yeah. Only a humble heart will do that. A heart that's got any kind of self in it's not going to do that.
Well, and I was going to say too, it's like I think a lot of times when we think of that, it's like you think the big things. But God has just proven over and over, he is talking about the small decisions in our hearts that we make every single day.
Yeah.
Are you going to yield to me when I say don't speak? Are you going to yield to me when I say speak?
And I'm the only one that knows what I'm telling you to do. And it's just between you and me.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's big and small things. But I think for this journey, it really has been a lot of the smaller things of the heart, which truly are big things.
Foxes.
It's the little foxes. Yep. Yeah, very much so. And they will ruin the vineyard.
They will.
And God's
intimacy.
like, we have to get rid of those.
Jesus.
And so it's like that's what all of this has been about. The testing and proving of our faith. And like, are we going to continue to go after the Lord? Are we going to continue to listen to him and obey his commandments and just follow him no matter what?
It's like, Lord, this took 7 years. Are you serious? Well, we could go 40. Oh, I'll take 7. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, moving on to verse 3, it says, and he humbled you and allowed you to hunger allowed you to hunger, and fed you with manna, which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, that he might make you recognize and personally know that man does not live by bread only, but man lives by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Lord. Your clothing did not become old upon you, nor did your feet swell these 40 years. Know also in your minds and hearts that as a man disciplines and instructs his son, so the Lord your God disciplines and instructs you.
Wow.
Now, that really touched me there for a little bit, because the Lord has allowed us to go through this support raising thing, because and when we get support, it is just like getting manna.
Yeah.
It really is, which our fathers, no one in my family knows anything about living like this, in this way.
Yeah.
In a spirit, just hear the heart of it. The heart of it is like, I'm doing this specifically in your life right now, and I'm allowing you to go through this. Yes, you could go out and, get a job, and you could go do that, and you could go, but it would be you doing it.
Yeah.
And then you're living by your soulish means and your own understanding and what this is what you're supposed to do, right? And it's like, but God's like, no, but you've heard my word, and because you've heard my word, I have led you out into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights to be tempted and tried by the devil, to experience hunger, to experience criticisms from other believers, and you're going to experience all of that. And God let us out knowing that we were going to come out and we were going to make it, So it's like the Lord would say that to you, He's led you out and He's allowed you to go through what you go through, what you've gone through, because He knows that He knew that you would come out. He knew that you would make it. And so that you would know Him. That you would know. We've said in so many different videos, the reason why He brings us out of bondage into the wilderness first. Why doesn't God just go bondage, promised land? Why doesn't He do that? Because there's so much bondage in your head already.
Promised land would just be more bondage.
Exactly. It would be a rich, luxurious milk and honey bondage. You know what I mean? And then where are you going to escape to go to something better? God's like, no, let's come into the wilderness. Let's go through a 7-year preparation. Let's dry out. Let's restructure. Let you, O Son of Man, eat. And then I will get you into the promised land, and you can go in with upright. The Lord said 2019 was going to be a year of walking upright. And it's like, in order to do that, man, you got to have a lot of exposure moments. You gotta allow God to make you hungry. You got to allow God to feed you from His hand. You got to allow yourself to be put in a position where it's like, the only reason I have anything is because of the Lord. Too many times, so much of Deuteronomy is like, hey, don't get it in your head that because your stock portfolio is awesome and your net worth is awesome and all this stuff, you did it. Don't get that. He literally says that to him. Like, your vineyards and your flocks and all that's going to increase, and you're going to say, look what I did. Yeah. See, because too many people, that's what they do, and then they lead you to do that very thing and say that's the right thing. It's the godly way. And then God steps in, His ancient self. He steps in and says, actually, that's not the way. Yeah. The way is to hear from me, be in a relationship with me, and let me lead you and let me guide you. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, but God, you're not guiding me into the comfortable lifestyle that I long for, so that can't be you. And it's like, that's not the way the Lord operates.
Yeah, and I just know, like, the humbling has been, it's one of the keys. I don't know if you guys remember that during the beginning of the year, the Lord was giving us different keys. And the humility key has definitely been major.
Like the master key.
It really has been, because He gave us the key of humility, key of love, worship, and prayer. Those were the 4 that He really wanted to highlight.
Literally the foundation, I believe, of our entire lives.
Yeah.
We will die with those keys in our hand.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's just been like, man, it's been about humility. And honestly, on Monday, the Lord was really, really humbling me, and I got this scripture about just we read Psalm 139. I think it was either Sunday or Saturday, one of those 2 days.
One of them days.
But I was reminded of it when he says, like, where can I go from your presence? I can't go anywhere without you being there. And it just really hit me on Monday, because I was just having a prideful moment time, and it was just like, then I was just like, I was actually getting hungry, and I was just like, I can't even
You're
eat.
physically hungry.
I was physically hungry, and I was just like, I can't even eat anything without it being from the hand of God. And it's like, how can I be so prideful and arrogant to think that anything in this life is deserved or mine? And I don't know, just like, I think for just the first time, like, there was just an understanding and a recognition of the verse, and just how much God.
It's called revelation.
Yeah, the revelation of just like, not just knowing it, because it's like you can say, oh yeah, God gives me everything. No, but it's just like
whoa, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's revelation.
And my heart was just there, and it was just like, oh Lord, like He gives us everything. I'm like, we literally cannot, anywhere we go, your hand is there. You are in everything. Every breath that I breathe, it comes from you. It is a gift from you.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I don't deserve anything, and yet you give me everything. There's a song, that's a line in the song. But it was just
it's More Than Anything by Corey Voss and the band there.
And I was just like, wow. Like, He really gave me a revelation. I felt like my eyes were open, and it was just like an even deeper place of humility, of saying, like, God, you really have brought us out to the wilderness to humble us.
Yep.
And even as you were reading, and it was saying, like, and you allowed me to hunger.
Yeah. And
personally, in 2017, it was just so difficult, because...
You gonna cry? You about ready to cry?
Of course, it's what I do.
I had to turn off the camera. You want me to turn off the camera?
No, I'm okay to cry. But in 2017, just so much of what we went through, I didn't understand it, because there were times when it was like we really had nothing, and it was just like
nothing. Well, I mean, like 4 fillets of frozen chicken in the freezer. That's literally all we had.
And we're looking, going,
like, that can't be
God.
God.
5 people to feed with these 4 pieces.
This is not the Lord. There's just no way. There's no way.
And it's like, to just hear that, it's like, but the Lord allowed you to hunger. 2017 was really a hungry year, in the sense that,
Jesus.
What we went through, just physically, there was hunger, there was monetarily, there was so much hunger, and just like...
And that was before PayPal.
Yeah.
Before.
And so to just see that verse, it was just like, wow, so the Lord allowed us to hunger, and then He fed us with manna. And that's the part we've been in right now. It's like, God's like, as soon as we came here, and it was so clear, when we moved, God's like, I'm feeding you with manna. And He has fed us with the manna and taken care of us this entire time.
Amazingly.
But I think for me, it's just like, we've read that verse many times. Mm-hmm. And it just really hit me, and that's really how the Lord does it. You could read something a million times over, and then He'll just highlight something. He'll open your eyes to something you didn't see before. And just reading that, it's like, wow, that's why 2017 was the way that it was. This whole time, like, not the whole time, because God's brought me to different points where He's like brought healing to that. But I feel like there's even just more healing.
Oh, sure.
It's like, that's why you did things the way that you did things. Because I didn't understand it.
It was for our good.
And
it don't feel good, but it was for our good.
It was. And
the good of our relationship with God.
Mm-hmm. And just
that we might know.
Him.
That's what He says. That we might know and recognize. And it says, and personally know.
Yeah.
Like, experience it, not just because you read it in a book or you heard it in a song
That
or you
man
sing it on
doesn't live-
Sunday. You know
that
what
man
I'm
doesn't
saying?
live by bread alone. It's like, no, he has us living it out. He's like, I'm telling you, you don't live by bread alone. You live by my word.
You think you live by your own efforts and because you got this degree and you got that, and that's good. God's not disrespecting any of that.
No.
He's just saying that is not your provision. I'm your provision, and
Because without me, you wouldn't even have that. You wouldn't even have
Yeah.
your life if it wasn't for me
Yeah.
giving you the very air that you breathe every day.
So I hope you guys are getting something. We know this is kind of a longer video, but we hope you guys are really getting blessed by this because that's what we do. We're storytellers. You click on this video, you're going to get a novel. So, we don't do short stories. You know what I'm saying? We do like epics.
We try, but it doesn't work.
It don't work. But anyway, I'm not going to get into all the great detail of why this scripture came to pass because it was truly remarkable. I'm talking like angelic visitation type remarkable without the angelic visitation. But anyway, I have a cheeseburger, hold the cheese.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just wanted to read this scripture. It's Psalm 85 verse 8 to kind of turn a corner here in what we're talking about. But it all kind of ties in to the 7-year thing. Psalm 85 verses 8 and 9 actually says, I will listen with expectancy to what God the Lord will say, for he will speak peace to his people, to his saints, those who are in right standing with him, but let them not turn again to self-confident folly. Right there, the Lord's been talking to us about, hey, expect the sign. The sign's coming. The provision's coming. The miracle is coming. He's coming.
For it.
And it's like, I know you've heard it like 78 times, but it's coming. Be looking for it. Be expectant. Don't go out looking for it and try to make an opportunity. You might have to go around a mountain again another year. Don't do that.
But be kind of like Simeon, he was expecting to see the Savior before he was to depart this world, before he was going to die. And it was just, he was listening to and
the Spirit of God was upon him.
The Spirit of God just came to him, and he went to the temple court, and he met Jesus there. And so it's like that same expectancy. Our hearts are listening to the Spirit. They're open, waiting for the coming of our King, waiting for the promises to be fulfilled,
waiting for the ultimate purpose of the triple force, which is victory from the King. It's like, I got to get you guys prepared first. I got to get all this stuff out of you first. I got to put down the mountains in your heart, and I got to raise up some valleys of some things you shouldn't think about, how your self-worth. I got to raise it. I got to do a lot of work, but then my glory's going to come and baptize you. Hallelujah. So verse 9, surely his salvation is near to those who reverently and worshipfully fear him, and is ready to be appropriated, that the manifest presence of God, that's the whole point, that the manifest presence of God, his glory, may tabernacle and abide in our land. Now last week was a week of the body. We were covering, God was doing a 3-week thing with us. The spirit week, soul week, and the body week. And it was just, you got to go watch those videos. But that's talking about this tabernacle and abide in our land. That's a physical. This is a physical manifestation of the glory of God in your life, and people can see it. I'm saying Satanists and atheists who don't know the Lord can look at you and go, dang, there must be a God, because look at you. Look at your life. Not necessarily just because you have physical things or physical blessings, not excluding that either, but there is a spirit upon you, tangible spirit upon you that can be felt, that feels good. Feels good for some, is kind of scary and terrifying for others.
Well, it's like Jesus when he walked the earth. It's
exactly.
He could just, he just comes and the demons
start
are like
freaking out.
Whoa, hey, get away from us, Son of God. Don't come near us. And it's like he didn't have to say or do anything. because God himself was on Jesus. And it's like, that's the kind of presence the Lord wants to have with his people, which is why he's had to prepare us in order for him to have his presence come, so that we won't turn away from him.
So so the whole purpose is just like God's doing the 7-year thing so that we can really walk like Jesus walked.
Yeah.
And like the first century apostles, they just walked everywhere. Said, here's my handkerchief. Go give it to somebody. Just whoever touches it, they'll get healed.
Yeah.
Of terrible diseases, stuff like that, where you get to manifest the presence of God. You get to see. It's not just hearing; it comes out of the spirit and out of the soul, out of that whole realm into the physical, and people's lives are touched by the Spirit of God. So that's been the whole purpose. God's humbled us. He's led us. He's allowed these things to happen in our lives for the purpose of preparation. It's like for us, Monday, we felt like our whole family is just falling apart right now. It's undeniably just falling apart. And God's like, no, it is not. You guys are being birthed. There's a most miraculous thing going on right now. It is like the very thing you've been waiting for. It is literally happening in the spirit right now, and it will manifest, but I just can't tell you right now because you got to go through it. I'll tell you later. You know what I mean? It's like, and even today, where the dragon's water coming at us, look at your life. Look what's going on in your life. See all the different things that were happening. It was just like, no, sorry. And this is like, no, you're going to take what the enemy meant for evil and turn it for our good. So a lot of times it might not, the last 7 years might look like God has abandoned me. And it's like, no, he hasn't. He got up, he went to prepare a place for you. And then he led you right to the banqueting door, so that on the other side of that, God's going to open up the door and he's going to carry you to your seat at the table, and you're going to feast on the manifested promises of God in your life. Well, when is that going to happen? You've been saying that for the past 3 years. I ain't been saying nothing for the past 3 years. The Lord's been saying it for the past 3 years, He's been saying it. Because God's always speaking promise. He's always speaking promise. A good coach always puts the motivation in front of the athlete for why they're doing what they're doing. They always do that. You got to do that. You're working out. And it's like, come on, let me take out your picture. That's what you want to look like, right? So come on, really come on, get some effort into those burpees, because I know you don't like them, but do them anyway. Come on, do them even harder. You know what I mean? You always got to have that motivation. And the Lord is the same way. He sets a joy before you, and he says, this is why we're doing it. We're doing it for the glory of God. Everyone's praying for the glory, but no one wants to pay the price for it.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to, I want to just have intimacy with Jesus. I just want to know your voice. I just want to, no, you just want to sing it on Sunday. Do you really want to know? Okay, come on, come with me. Oh, wait, can you give me the syllabus? Can you give me all the map? Can you give me all the things that are going to happen, and so I can save myself from trouble and really delve myself into the cool stuff? No, I'm not going to do that. I just want you to follow me. All right, well, we'll see what happens. At the first sign of trouble, I'm out. It's like, okay, well, you can just stay there. You know what I mean? It's like, either you want to know the Lord and follow him or not. You know what I mean? And for those who are part of that 7-year remnant of believers, I know these words get said a lot, but it's like, this is what God's been doing in your life. This is why he's been doing it. And this is why some things seem like they've just turned upside down and topsy-turvy, and that didn't work out and this didn't work out. That's okay. That's okay. Jesus is the Lord. He has got you. And I just got to reiterate, 8:3. Deuteronomy 8:3. And he humbled you and allowed you to hunger. He allowed you to get fired. He allowed things to happen. It's not because you didn't pray. It's not because you didn't have faith. It's not because you didn't parent properly. None of those things are true. God just let it happen. God allows things to happen because, you're dealing with people. You know what I mean? He's not up there like puppet mastering everything. It's like, and he humbled you and allowed you to hunger and fed you with manna. He provided for you in your situation, which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, that he might make you recognize and personally know that man does not live by bread only. By the body does not live by the things that you put in the body to make it live. It actually doesn't live that way. It doesn't work. I mean, yes, God provides you with those things to put in your body, but that's the whole point. He provides what you need for everything, body, soul, and spirit. He is the provider of every area of your life. Because he wants you to know. And then by doing that, you get to recognize. You get to have a revelation. You get to understand, like, whoa, God, you love me. I don't ever need to be afraid or worry about anything.
Yeah.
You're my dad.
Mm-hmm.
You take care of me because that's just what you do.
Yeah. So we just pray that you guys are blessed by this. Truly, I know that God is good and he has a purpose and plan for everything that he's doing, and he has prepared things in advance for us. And he's just like, hey, all right, I have that for you, but I got to prepare your heart for it. You want my presence, that's exactly what I'm going to give you, but I need to prepare you for it. And it really is.
You want a home for your family?
I'm going to prepare
you for it, and I'm going to hook you up, bruh. I'm going to hook you up.
And so just as we continue to just walk with the Lord, just be reassured that he knows. It's like, I know the plans that I have for you.
Lord, this is the path to our home. Are you sure? Isn't it down the street?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm pretty sure if we Google it, I know how to get there. What are we doing? You know what I mean? Isn't the promised land right there? It's like, yeah, well, we're going to camp out, but why? Okay, I hear you.
Yeah. So it's like, Jeremiah 29:11. It's that the Lord, he knows the plans that he has for us to give us a hope and a future. It's for our good. And so we just need to trust him that he knows what he's doing in our life. Mm-hmm. He knows what needs to happen for us to really receive the fullness of what he has for us. And if we can just trust him with our hearts and with our lives, God's like, I can reveal so much to you. I can reveal heaven to you. My presence can dwell within you. Yeah. And so I just say, be encouraged. Like it truly has been very encouraging. Even though God took us through what he took us through on Monday. I mean, it was so intense.
Hey, birth is actually an ugly thing, man. It's a beautiful thing because of what comes out, but the actual physical process is very painful.
Yeah.
Not that I know it from personal experience, but vicariously, it's clearly a very intense thing, very painful, very messy. Even when the baby come out, his head is all messed up. They say, "Are you sure that's supposed to look like that?"
Yeah.
What happened? Oh no, that's normal. That's normal.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, it'll reshape out. It'll do its thing. Like, oh okay. You know what I mean? It's like hair's all squiggly, and it's just like, is that supposed to be like that? Why does he look blue?
Yeah.
That's a black baby, Andy. I'm just kidding. Well, half. Anyway, but birth is that's the way it is. It's messy. So when God's birthing things in our soul and our spirit, it can look messy and it can feel terrible sometimes,
But it's like, just trust that the Lord knows what he's doing, and ultimately it is for our good, because he wants to dwell with his people. He wants to have us experience the fullness of who he is, and so and he wants our gardens to not be spoiled. And so it's just
little foxes keep showing up.
And so it really is, if we can just see, I think the Lord does that. He will reveal to us, like, hey, look, this is what I've been doing, and we can appreciate even more his heart of like, wow, you love me that much that you're willing to just go through everything with me. And just bring me to a place where that is good and full of your goodness. And so I think that's all that we have for you guys.
Yeah.
And I know this has been long, but we just pray that you have been blessed. And until next time, guys, we will see you later.
Yep. Bye, guys. Love ya.
Bye.